I mean, how cute is this? Soft, moist, mini carrot cake slices that are decorated to look like little carrots. The cake is tender and gently spiced with just a touch of Chinese spice powder. And if you're not familiar with that, think of it as something similar to pumpkin spice. So it's a Chinese spice blend with what is usually a combination of star anise, cloves, Chinese cinnamon, or like Sichuan peppers, and fennel seeds. This yummy carrot cake is paired with a cream cheese frosting, my fave. So it's like eating a carrot cake with cheesecake on top. As usual, you can find the full recipe on my blog along with detailed instructions. I feel like written recipes and visual tutorials just go really well hand in hand in making sure that you do the recipe properly. And for this carrot cake recipe, we're starting with lining our baking pan with parchment paper by crumpling it up so it's easier to spread out at the bottom. And then moving on to the dry ingredients for the cake, I'm going to mix in a little bit of the wet ingredients at a time, mix, and then don't forget the brown sugar like I did. Almost did, but I remembered. At this point, your cake batter should look a little something like this. Try not to overmix it because we still have to fold in the shredded carrots. At this point, I'm going to just dump in all my shredded carrots. You can use pre-shredded ones or grate them yourself. Give it a little mixy mix, and as you continue folding the carrots into the batter, it's going to naturally add a little bit of moisture. At this point, you should not see any more dry streaky spots, wet streaky spots. It should be fully combined and look a little something like this. And it's ready to bake, so just pour all of the cake batter into the prepared cake pan. I thought the aesthetics of using a circular pan works, but you can also do a square one. I've tried it with both, and both worked perfectly. You just have to cut it a little bit differently when you slice it from a square pan. While the cake is baking and then waiting for it to fully cool before you frost, we're gonna make the cream cheese frosting. So when I make this frosting, I always start with whipping the butter and the sugar first, and with the vanilla extract if I'm using, or lemon juice. This is so I don't accidentally over whip the cream cheese when I add it, because when you over whip the cream cheese frosting, the cream cheese just becomes too loose and it's really hard to pipe. And when your frosting is perfectly whipped like this, it should be creamy, fluffy, light, smooth. It's not gonna be fluffy, light like whipped cream, but it's more like if you had a cheesecake and it's like whipped. Okay, and now we're gonna color the frosting. I'm gonna reserve like 2 tablespoons of the frosting to color green, so that way I get the leafy parts of the carrot, and the rest I will color orange to get the carrot part. Try to only use a little bit of coloring at a time to make sure you don't over color. Use a little bit of food coloring or food coloring powder, natural powders, whatever you want. Just use a little bit at a time, mix it a little bit more if you want darker, mix again, and then just stop when you get the color that you want. Don't put too much because then you might end up getting too dark of a color. Now that I have the colors that I like, I'm gonna move the frostings into piping bags, and if you don't have piping bags, you can use sandwich bags. Then I'm going to move my frosting piping bags into the fridge to keep them cold while I slice the cake. Keeping the frosting cold is going to make it easier for me to pipe on the decorations later. Before frosting the cake, it has to be completely cooled. I'm warning you, if the cake is warm, the frosting will melt. So then just take your cake out of the pan and remove the parchment paper. I like to use a serrated knife for this so it's a clean cut, and I'm going to make perpendicular cuts on the cake. So then you should have 4 generally equal sections. Within those sections, cut them in half again, and you should have 8 equal slices. Now if you want 16 smaller slices, you can go ahead and cut each slice in half yet again. Also, feel free to replay this part again if you just need to see the visuals on how I slice the cake. I cut them into 8 slices for aesthetics, but I've also tried 16 slices, also very cute. Now for the decorating part, and you're gonna take your piping bag or your sandwich bags with the frosting and cut a very small piece off at the end. And with steady, even pressure, you're gonna go in a back and forth zigzag motion with the orange frosting. Just follow the edges of the cake slice. It's gonna be really easy. Just before you reach the very end of the carrot, you're gonna just stop pressure and then just pull the piping bag down to create a little point. And you're just gonna repeat that for all the slices that you have. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it directly on the cake right away, you can always take a plate and practice on that first before you move to the cake slices. Then zigzag some green leaves onto the carrots. This part is optional. I really love adding chocolate daisies that I made onto the carrot cake slices and just all treats in general, just to give it another cute touch. And you're done. Yay, you did it! It's so cute! Oh my god, it's so cute. The cuteness aggression always gets me when I make like something that's so cute. And of course, I always save myself a slice, and for my husband of course, before I give the rest away to friends, family, or like my workers or something when I am done filming. Make time to bake this cake and then let me know how it goes. Follow Sparkle Cakery if you want to learn more about how baking is fun and approachable from me, a professionally trained pastry artist. Okay, bye!